Hey y'all, it's me, Cody, and Diamond is here as well. The star of the show. I'm Cody, that's Diamond. And this is the CodiKnits Podcast. This is episode 106. She's excited. She hasn't been on camera in a long time. So, yeah, you excited? Say hello to all your fans. All your adoring fans. I'm having some coffee. It's the afternoon, but I still wanted some coffee. So I'm sitting in the living room today. This one is driving me nuts. Yes, she is. Because she doesn't want to sit, but she doesn't want to sit by herself. She wants to be on me. She doesn't want to play. She doesn't want to be outside and walk. I don't know what she wants, but she's cute, so it's okay. So yeah, Kirby has gone home to visit her mom, and so it's a Saturday in March, the first weekend in March, I think, and I thought I should sit down and film a little bit. I have done some knitting. I can't remember what I showed you last time or where I was, but I will show you what I've been working on. And then a lot of this is going to be talking about books. I've been doing a lot of reading for school, which I'm not going to talk about that because that's boring. I will give you a school update, but past couple weeks I hadn't had a whole lot of knitting mojo, but then this past Thursday I kind of got the itch to knit some, so I have done some knitting, but mostly I've been doing reading, and it's been really nice. But anyway, Kirby's out, so I'm sitting in the living room. This is a blanket that Kirby knit. It's a mitered square blanket, but she, all of the yarn is hand spun that she did, so it's very beautiful. But we keep it on the back of the couch and try not to let little Nugget get into it, because I don't want her fingernails to get into it and break pieces or anything like that. So it's really nice. And yeah, I got some stuff to go through, so I wanted to come on. I'll talk about school first. School is going really well. Everyone who comments on my DNP vlogs, thank you so much. It's really nice to have your encouragement. And it's fun too, because some of you know what I'm talking about or have really good ideas and things like that. So I really appreciate that. And again, that's just mostly for me to kind of document my journey through this program, but it's really cool to see that some of you guys enjoy seeing that. So yeah, school is going really well. I had to submit earlier this semester my project proposal paper. So that consisted of a background and introduction, the literature review, and then everything up until actual data analysis. So I had to describe, everything from the patient population I'd be working with, how am I going to conduct the study, where, all of that kind of stuff had to be spelled out. So what tools that we're going to be using, I have two tools, a fatigue survey and a quality of life survey tool, and you have to put why, how those tools are supported by evidence as valid tools and things like that. So I made a 99.5 on that paper. Yeah, I was joking with a teacher, and I was like, you're gonna give me 100 sometime before I graduate. She's a teacher that doesn't really give out hundreds, but it wasn't a perfect paper. There were a couple of things that I formatting things that I've missed. So, I'm not mad at it. It's just fun. Like, it makes it a little bit more fun to try to give me something to strive for. I've never really considered myself a good writer, but there's different types of writing, and this is just really boring writing. It's very boring. I don't know how else to say it. So I'm a good boring writer. Now, if you ask me to write some kind of book or creative paper or something like that, I'm no good. But yeah, so we also had to develop all of our, we had to come up with an informed consent that the patients will use, because the IRB has to review all this, and they have to see your informed consent. You have to explain how you're going to protect the patient's privacy, as well as their show that you're not going to harm them, like by doing anything that you're doing for the project isn't going to cause any harm, or intentional harm anyway. So there's that. You have to talk about, making sure, you're not being coercive, and how you're going to protect things, like the data will be stored on a personal laptop that's protected by a password and has Norton antivirus and blah, blah, blah. It's really boring. So I had to come up with an informed consent. I had to write a recruitment script. I had to I had to come up with my own little demographics that I'll be collecting for the patients, for some basic info. What else? Oh, I had to get a letter from the place I work saying that they agreed to let me do the study there. So lots of stuff like that. I've been really busy doing that kind of stuff. But for right now, I am ahead. Everything that's due this coming up Tuesday is already turned in. So I'm happy with that. So I can take this weekend and relax a little bit more. So that's exactly what I plan to do. Work-wise, we're not super busy yet. We're building a practice from scratch. So we're getting more patients, but I'm also, they all have to see the doctor first and things like that. So I'm not having like a full load of patients. So I get a lot of this stuff done while I'm at work, luckily. It works out quite well that way. So I'm just trying to use my time wisely. So it's helped me have a little bit more time on the weekends, so I can do things like read or whatever. So yeah, there's that. But let's talk about knitting first, and then I'll talk to you about, I got a whole stack of books right here you can see. I've read some of them, and some of them are just new books I bought recently that I plan to read in the next couple of months. So first thing I wanted to show you is my Montrealer. I think it's called the Montrealer Pullover. No, just the Montrealer. Got a pretty man on the front. And it's like a hoodie. So, I have currently, it's in a kind of easy-ish place to show you. So it's a bit wide for me. But I wanted to knit it bigger, but I think it's a little bit bigger than I was thinking it was going to be, but that's okay. I'm going to finish it and see how big it is, and if it's big enough where I feel like it's something I'll wear around the house and be cozy in, then I'll do that. If not, I will give it to somebody who is a little bit bigger than me that it'll fit better. But I have finished the body basically, and what I just finished was actually the pocket. So you knit for so long, and then put some markers in to show where you're going to pick up stitches to make the marker, and then you do kind of like when you attach this, I don't want to tell too much because it is a paid for pattern, but you attach the bottom of the pocket to the knitting when you start doing your ribbing, so you knit to where you're supposed to do your ribbing, and then you attach this at the same time when you start your ribbing. Couple of things for me is my row gauge is different than the pattern. I don't know, I haven't double checked my stitch gauge, but my row gauge is. So you're supposed to have done about like so many rows from the armpit, and that gets you to a certain length. So you're supposed to go to like 15.5 inches or so, and I definitely wasn't where I was supposed to be. So and in the pattern it says you can knit if you have a longer torso to knit more. Well, I needed to stop sooner, and so I had to figure out some things. So based on where I stopped sooner, the pocket where you mark your stitches, the rows to pick up stitches for your pocket, and the pocket, like I mentioned, is supposed to meet where you join to start the ribbing. So that's how it's supposed to fit on the sweater, right? So because I knit less rows, I ended up having to go and do some math and calculate. The pocket is so many rows, and so I had to move up my stitches about 15 rows personally, so that it'll all fit together. So I did that, and I've knit the pocket, and now I am to the point where I need to put the body back on the needles and all that. So the other thing that I did is I did not do the striping on the pocket. And part of the reason is because the way my stitches and stripes lined up, it made them not line up. The stripes didn't line up from the pocket and the body, and that kind of annoyed me. So I could have gone back and like modified the rows a little bit and made it work, but I just couldn't be bothered. So there's a pocket, and it doesn't have stripes, and I'm kind of actually okay with that. What I think I'm gonna do is, so you got to go back and you add like a edging around the pocket holes. And what I'm gonna do instead of, so in the pattern it tells you to use the main color to do that. You see how this pocket here, and you see how perfectly all theirs lines up. Mine did not do that. So what I'm gonna do for this stuff is I'm gonna use the contrast color, and I think that'll be fun. So I'm gonna do that. So that's where I'm at with that. It's gonna fit me good lengthwise. It's gonna be a little wide, probably. Maybe I can get it to shrink some, but I don't know. But you know what? I'm not too terribly upset about it, to be honest. Like I could have ripped it out and started a smaller size. I'm doing the 4th size. But I just couldn't. I just can't be bothered. If it fits, it fits. If it doesn't fit how I like it, then I'm gonna give it to somebody who will appreciate it. So that's that. Let me tell you the yarn. The yarn is Wool of the Andes worsted weight. The main color is the penguin color. I got this from Knit Picks, the website. knitpicks.com. And then the contrast color is it Ocean or is it okay, so this one is Ocean. I just had one stripe with that. And then I think the darker blue that you see is Sapphire Heather, and I really love this color. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Using my ChiaoGoo interchangeable needle. The other thing I've worked on is in this bag. I love this bag. Let me have a sip of coffee. There's so many little birds outside on my porch. Kirby put out bird seed before she left, and there's all these little snowbirds. I don't know what kind of birds they are, and there are some cardinals that come out. And there's a at least one boy and one girl, because there's the bright red one, which is the male, and then there's like a more brown color. And I can't wait for the hummingbirds to come back. But anyway, so this is the Storm Shawl by Joji Locatelli. I've knit one of these before, but Kirby, if you didn't see my last one, she gave me some yarn and requested that I knit her something with it for her birthday, which was in January. And she gave it to me in January. So she knew it wouldn't get anything done. This is the yarn. And a little cake. They're 50-gram balls, and it's Woolfolk, TYND, tined, I don't know, but it's color 13. It's like a greeny blue. To me, this is a green color, but Kirby says it's a blue color. So, she also has an artistic eye. She's an architect and stuff. I am not. I don't. And I also have a little bit of trouble seeing like darker blues and greens. So, and she may have seen more colors than I can. I don't know. I'm not colorblind, but I just always have found like some people call things like this blue and I call it green. So I guess a good way to describe it is a greeny blue. I don't know. It says color 13. It's 50 grams and it's fingering weight. 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino Wool. 1% of profit on wool yarn goes back to Ovis 21. To be honest, I don't know what Ovis 21 is. But yeah, so let's show you. I'm knitting this on my Licka needles, which I hate the cord. The needles are fine, but I hate the cord. But whatever. But yeah, here's where I'm at. It's kind of all scrunched up on the needles, so it's kind of hard to see. But you got some stockinette sections. You got some fun drop stitch section. More stockinette, an eyelet, drop stitch. Some more stockinette. This is a fun pattern. The reason I picked this one too is because she has a lot. She gave me like 5 or 6. And so I can really knit this pattern as big as I want and use as much of that yarn as I wanted to, as I can. So none of it will go to waste because it's really nice, beautiful, soft, squishy yarn. So yay! That's really all I've knit. I've probably done a couple of sections in that, like an eyelet and a wedge. Maybe I did a little drop stitch section, but I don't remember since I last showed you. This coffee, I made it perfectly. It's not too sweet. It's so good. Okay, so I've read 2 books in the month of February, and I wanted to talk about them. So I read these books with the girls at work, did like a little book club thing. And the first book I read, I really wanted to talk about. It's called Queenie, and it's by Candace Carty-Williams. And I've never read a book like this, and I typically wouldn't pick up these kind of books. I'm more of like a fantasy, mystery thriller kind of person. But this was really funny. It was funny, tragic, this girl is a hot mess, and I would highly recommend you read it. So this is not a book for kids. It's got some pretty steamy things in it. A lot of the times when those steamy things happen, you're like, what? No, stop, don't do it. And it deals with a lot of mental health. And this is what made me love this book. Not only did it have a lot of funny things, there's some funny characters in there that made me laugh so hard, and I really loved. But what I loved about this book is it wrapped up really well, but it does it in a way that's really more like reality. So anyone who's ever struggled with depression and mental health issues will understand that sometimes that's a thing that you struggle with every day. And even though you may be better and have learned ways to cope, it's something that you have to deal with every day. And the book ended that way. Things got better, but it also points out that she was still having to struggle a little bit. There's still things that are hard, and things that are hard to move away from, and things that, how our past really affects who we are. And that's what I really appreciated about this book. She was a hot mess. I was like, this is like some kind of like reality TV show craziness. I laughed a lot, but I really did appreciate how it ended. I can't remember. It's on my phone. So I think I also finished the second book by N.K. Jemisin. So it was the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy. Yeah, it's called The Obelisk Gate. So I finished that up, but I can't remember if I finished it in the beginning of, at the end of January, the beginning of February. Listen, I highly recommend that series. At least the first two books were really good. The second book, it started off a little slow, but then it got good. And yes. The other book I read was called The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. And this was an interesting book. Again, this was a book that the girls that I work with were reading. And they, book club, so I read it with them. I bought them. This was very different. I can't say I did not like this, but it's not really a book that I would that I enjoy. And part of it is it uses the N-word a whole lot. And I understand that's part of the culture of the people in this book and that kind of stuff, but I don't like that. I don't like reading it. I don't like hearing it. But this was a good book, I will say. If you can overlook that, it deals with some pretty interesting things. This book is very popular if you haven't ever read it. She's written a lot of different books. I've been listening to Sarah J. Maas, whatever it is, the third book in her A Court of Wings and whatever it is. I can't remember. A Court of something. It's the third one. And I was listening to the audiobook for a while and I kind of got bored with it. But I started listening to it again recently and it started to pick up again. And so I'm enjoying it. I think I have probably like 8 more hours on the audiobook. And I know they just came out with another book, A Court of something Flames or something. And I may read that eventually. But there's a stack of books right here that I want to read first. So what I'm currently reading is the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. Is it called A Darker Shade of Magic? That's the name of the first book. But this one's called A Gathering of Shadows. I am on page 146, and I've been really enjoying this. It's picking up where the first book, called A Darker Shade of Magic, left off pretty much, and it's really cool. There's some fun, intriguing things that are happening. I don't want to spoil it, but it's keeping my attention. This book is a bit thicker than the first book, and but yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is an adult fantasy book, but I think some people consider this on borderline of a young adult fantasy or a YA, but I really like it. I read the first one and I was like, I gotta get the second one. I still need to buy the third book in this series. Thought I bought it the other day. I bought, as you're gonna see, some books to finish some things, and just some things I wanted to read. But I thought I got the third one. I need to double check and make sure so I don't buy it twice. But these are definitely books I want to keep in my library. They're really, really good. I highly recommend these books. V.E. Schwab. This is the first book. A Darker Shade of Magic was the first book I read by V.E. Schwab. And I'm really enjoying it. It's really great. So that's what I'm currently reading. So I mentioned a couple of these already. Oh no, I do have it. It's right here. I did buy it. So I have the third book, A Conjuring of Light. And this is even thicker, I think, than... Yeah. So I'll get to that one eventually after I read that one. So I bought that. This is the third book. And I also bought the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, called The Stone Sky. So I will be reading that pretty soon. I'll probably, I won't read this one until I finish this book, and then that trilogy will be done. These have been really good too. They won the Hugo and Novella Awards in 2018. I think they each won one, 2016, 2017, and 2018. So these are really, I have really been enjoying these books. And I also bought, I'm gonna save the one I'm most excited for last. But let me get a sip of coffee. So one of my good friends, Brooke, she likes to read like mystery thriller books, and I like to read mystery thriller books. I don't read as much of them as I want to, but it's fine. But I wanted to pick up a book for her as a little gift for something that's happened recently in her life. I don't want to share here because it's kind of private, but I wanted to get her a little gift, and I thought it'd be fun for us to buddy read a book. And we bought this, me, her, and my friend Katie all bought a subscription box. I can't remember, Illumicrate or something like that. And we were going to read that together, and we still will, but the book got delayed because of the whole ice storm, snowstorm, Texas, all that kind of stuff everywhere. So it hasn't come yet, but I bought this book, and it was at Barnes & Noble, and it was buy one, get one, 50% off, and I'm also a member, so I got 30% off as well. And this is one of their Book of the Month picks, and I've seen this a lot on some BookTube things, and had some pretty good reviews, but it's 8 Perfect Murders, Peter Swanson, and I'll read the back to you. It says, years ago, bookseller and mystery aficionado Malcolm Kershaw compiled a list of fiction's most unsolvable murders, which he titled 8 Perfect Murders, chosen from among the best of the best, including Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders, Patricia Highsmith's Strangers on a Train, and Hour 11's Death Trap. But no one is more surprised than Mal, now the owner of the Old Devil's Bookstore in Boston, when when an FBI agent comes looking for information about a series of unsolved murders that appear eerily similar to the killings on Mal's old list. And the agent isn't the only one interested in the bookseller. The killer is out there, watching his every move, a diabolical threat who knows way too much about Mal's personal history, especially the secrets he's never told anyone, even his recently deceased wife. To protect himself, Mal begins looking into possible suspects and sees a killer in everyone around him, but Mal doesn't count on the investigation leaving a trail of death in its wake. Suddenly, a series of shocking twists leaves more victims dead, and the noose around Mal's neck grows so tight he might never escape. So that's going to be fun. It's pretty short book. Let me see. That's some fluff stuff at the back. It's about 270 pages, so we should be able to read that pretty quickly. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do that. One thing I've been making myself do is go to bed by 8 or 8:30 and read every night. And that's been really nice. But the fact that I get to do so much work during schoolwork, during my work hours, really helps that. Another book I bought, and I don't know when I'm going to read this because it's a dense book and it's probably going to make me cry a whole lot because most people who've read it cry a lot. So I do want to read this though. I think it's one of those books that could be, one of those books that sticks with you. I've watched people do book vlogs on this and they definitely cry a lot. The dude on the front, But it's called A Little Life. And it's won a National Book Award finalist, or it was a National Book Award finalist, and it's, I can't say the author, Hanya Yanagara, maybe? I've seen this on BookTube a lot, and I saw it, and I was like, it was on sale, which I have a hard time passing up a book that's on sale, especially if it's one on my to be read. So we'll see when I read this. I may have to read this with other books. Typically I'll read a book until it's finished, but I may have to start another book to read with this because I just have to, it's going to probably make me sad. And then the last book I got, I'm so excited about. I just got it yesterday because the book just came out, and it's by Cassandra Clare, one of my favorites. And it's Chain of Iron. And this, Cassandra Clare is the author of the Shadowhunters books, or the Mortal Instruments books. She also wrote the Infernal Devices series and the Dark Artifices series. And this is in the Last Hours series. So I read Chain of Gold, and I actually got at Barnes & Noble, I got Chain of Gold. I got a signed copy, which is so exciting because I love these books so much. I always get the hardback. And so I had another copy when it first came out and I read it. So I'm giving that to my aunt because she likes the Shadowhunters series. So the reason I like this, look how beautiful. Stunning cover. So the thing I like about this new series of the Shadowhunter series is it's more similar to the original Mortal Instruments. So there's a lot more demon hunting, demon killing, less politics. There's still some politics, obviously, but there's less of it. Some of the other ones, like the Infernal Devices and such, had a lot more politics in it. And I typically get a little bit bored in books during their political stuff. I don't like political stuff in real life. But got to stay on top of that kind of stuff. But I some of it is necessary and some of it I don't mind. But sometimes in the other books, I felt it got a little bit too much into it, and I wanted to see more, demon killing, fighting, and all that kind of stuff. So super excited to read this. So it's gonna be really hard. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish this book, and then I don't know. I want to start this book, but I also have all these other books. I may have to check with Brooke and see when she's gonna want to start reading this. But this one may be the next book I pick up and start reading. It's a chunker, but they all seem to be. But I just love them so much. So super excited about that. And I also bought myself a bookmark because I love bookmarks. And this is a Golden Girls themed bookmark. And it says, Blanche, honey, aren't you forgetting something? And Blanche said, that was Dorothy. And Blanche says, oh no, I never wear underwear. And then Rose says, I need a cheesecake. So super cute. And I know the episode that comes from, Blanche asked Dorothy to borrow like 3 different pieces of jewelry from her, and then she was walking out without it, and she said, aren't you forgetting something? And she said, oh no, I never wear underwear. And Dorothy said, I'm talking about my jewelry. And Blanche says, oh no, why paint the peacock? So always makes me laugh. But anyway, I bought a new bookmark. That's really all I got to show you. This was really long, 50 minutes. But I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to go and do some reading and whatnot. I hope you're doing well. Please, please, please make sure that if you can and when you can, get your vaccination, wear your mask, wash your hands, continue to social distance, and, protect yourself and others. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.